transaction taxes on big speculative investments and things like that, Tobin tax ideas, just whacking the Pentagon and stopping their grand larceny, stealing all these trillions of dollars that you talk about the national debt, Bob. I mean, just look at all the money the Pentagon has stolen, and that's the lion's share of the national debt.
Yeah, that's right. And so if we hadn't had wars, or make-believe wars, that we had created over the past 10 years, then we wouldn't have the problems we've got. And so we have to do away with war.
Well, I certainly go along with that. I'll throw one more comment in that I've written about before, and I mentioned it in my article today, that spending on militarism and wars absolutely benefits the war profiteering companies that benefit from wars a lot more than the defense companies, the munitions makers, a lot more than those folks. There are a lot of industries that profit from war, technology, and all the supplies. Big oil, my goodness, the Pentagon just drinks oil. So big oil profits. So there are a lot of companies that profit from militarism and war making. But if you took all of that money, if you simply ended all wars and all militarism related to it, and put that money into productive economic growth, the bang for the buck, oh, what a rotten analogy, the bang for the buck would be a lot greater than spending it for militarism. And that's another one of the dirty secrets that nobody talks about in the major media. That is a very serious thing. I mean, if they wanted to grow the economy, spend it on the economy. Don't spend it on waging wars.
Did you see the survey by Brown University?
That's the one I quoted. That's the one I quoted.
That's what I thought, yeah. Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm carrying it in a link form. And Alex Jones did a piece on it. But, yes, that's where we're at. And we shouldn't be there. Both parties, right through the ranks, do exactly what they're told, because 95% of them are paid off via campaign contributions and lobbying and all of the artifices. And we just are not going to get any representation. I see the other day that Ron Paul said he is going to resign from the House of Representatives and run full-time for president. And if he does that and he's successful, maybe we'll get someone who will accede to the needs of the American public, and maybe we can make some headway. But, you know, in the direction that we're going, more and more people are getting laid off. There's going to be more and more foreclosures once the banks settle with the attorney generals on how much money they have to pay back out of what they stole. And once that goes into action, you're going to have even more unhappy people than you have already. And they're bringing extended unemployment to an end, and some of the states are cutting back as well. The president has threatened food stamps. They've looted all of the incoming funds from Social Security and Medicare. I mean, what does this all end in the streets?
Oh, it really is. It's shocking. And again, it's not an idea that the richest country in the world doesn't have the resources to do all the responsible things it could do if it decided that it actually would do these things. It's the idea that policies are very destructive. The great majority are harmed not just in this country but around the world because of U.S. policies. U.S. policies literally affect the planet, especially when it comes to war and peace. But all the economic policies as well. There are really at least two kinds of war. Well, there are more than two, but two kinds of warfare I'd highlight. One is the military kind everybody would think about, but financial war could be as destructive as military war. I mean, you wage financial war like is being done against Greece. I mean, it's literally like taking the country and throwing it in the trash can, and you're doing it without marine divisions or cruise missiles or whatever. Like a neutron bomb, you destroy the country without leveling it to the ground. If they didn't do those things and they govern responsibly, none of these problems would exist. And I'm not an economist, Bob. I'm not a financial wizard, but this stuff is not rocket science. You know that. I mean, good policies are right there. Anybody can research them and find them out. What really, in fact, works. We discuss them often in this program. And we have these policies in this country way back in the colonial period for a while. Didn't last long enough, for about a generation, and it worked great. The colonies, back in colonial America, the colonies actually prospered. They had sustained economic growth, inflation-free. They didn't need any taxes to handle it because the colonies created their own money, and they put it productively into their economies, and they did just fine. Well, I don't think everybody benefited well. I mean, they were economies more for the privileged in society than the ordinary people. But as far as economic growth went, I mean, there was sustained economic growth. The same thing has happened elsewhere where these things have been tried. It could happen right here in America. So it's disgraceful, Bob, for the richest country in the world to get itself into the mess that exists right now. I mean, you talk about a crime. That's a crime.
Well, one of the structures that was erected in around 1800 after the 1790s when the U.S. government experimented in using British mercantilism, in other words, what they call today free trade and globalization. And they found it didn't work. And then from there on out, they used tariffs to create a level playing field where essentially products and there weren't many services in those days, but today would be products and services that compete equally because of the tariffs involved if we had them, but we don't have them. And America can never resurrect itself as a second world power, never mind a first world power, unless they put tariffs back on. Because number one, with currencies, everybody's cheating. And if they see the currency's getting too strong, they knock it down. I won't go into how they do it, but they knock it down. And also, they use the cost of production, which is 70% labor everywhere. They use essentially slave labor. And Western Europe and the United States can't compete against that. And so, in a formula, you have to be able to watch currencies momentarily throughout the day, 24/7, and you have to continue to keep a tariff that's suitable to level the playing field for American goods and services. And until we have that, we're going to continue to go downhill. We can't generate the revenue to be able to pay the service on the debt what we have, never mind pay off the debt or create more debt. It'll take years and years and years to pay this back, if in fact it's ever paid back. And that leads us to a whole other set of circumstances, and the only way that those circumstances can work is either had tariffs on goods and services and or stop transnational corporations from building up over $2 trillion in tax-free profits offshore right now. And also, we have to find a way to harness what America has left so it can compete in the world. I mean, it's been now 20 years that this has been going on. Is there anybody around that can train machinists anymore and lathe operators? I don't think so. I mean, we're in a terrible, terrible position. And that's one of the reasons why, along with illegal immigration, that unemployment is 22.6%. And those are real figures.
Oh, they are real figures, not the fictitious 9.2. and based on how unemployment was calculated 30 years ago, that 22.6 or 22.7, the John Williams number, those are real numbers. Bob, number one, I don't think the debt is going to be paid back. They'll just keep mounting it higher and higher. We have a mess going on in Europe at the same time. I wanted to get that into the program as well, because news in the last day or so is that what you've known all along is that another country now is making headlines about deficit problems, Italy. So I mean, we've got Greece that absolutely is basically insolvent or bankrupt, call it what you will, and Ireland the same thing, and Portugal, and you got Spain heading there, and now you've got Italy. How fast do you think this thing is really going to come to a head, and we really see a dire situation, and whatever happens over there will be like a tsunami hitting this country here. It's all interconnected.
Well, if the EU does not give the money to Greece and others, it'll happen right away. Now, that'll be out and out default. The system cannot be resurrected. The system is broken. There's no way of saving it. And so in this process of these 6 countries going out under, and nobody even talks about Eastern Europe, which is, they have problems with the exception of Poland, that are equal to those in the 6 Mediterranean countries, we'll call them. And so what do we get? A dozen countries that are broke. Now, who's going to suffer? The banks and all the people who have deposited at the banks, because they're all broke. And then we have the European Central Bank, which will end up broke. And then we have the sovereign nations, which will slide by if they stop here and they allow default and take their losses. If they keep on doing what they're doing, they're going to pour in another $4 to $6 trillion, and it isn't going to work either. And they know that, especially the German public. And Mrs. Merkel is unelectable, as is the CDU. And unfortunately, the socialist alternative isn't any better. In fact, it might even be worse. And so what have we got here? We've got a terminal situation. It's got to go down. When? I don't know, but I've recommended over and over again a meeting like Smithsonian, the Plaza Accord, the Louvre Accord. Everybody gets together, they revalue, they devalue, they default, and level the playing field. That would allow them to bring in tariffs.
But make bankers take a haircut. Bankers don't get off.
Oh, they all go under. All of them in the U.S., England, and Europe. They all go down.
That would really solve the problem.
People would lose their money. And you know something? They deserve it for not watching what was going on in their government, allowing something like the European Union to be created, which was an unnatural, anthropological situation, I'll call it, and in a Eurozone with a currency where fiscal matters were handled by the sovereign countries and international operations were handled by the European Central Bank, and then one interest rate fits all. When I saw that 11 years ago, I said, it's over before it starts. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. And anybody who's paid attention knows what I'm saying is true.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for a country to surrender its financial sovereignty to a foreign entity, I mean, that really is a suicide pact, Bob. It's an insane system, and I mean, it strikes me the same as it strikes you. That I mean, maybe they can keep this thing levitating for a while longer. Who knows how much longer? But in the end, this is so unsustainable that the whole damn thing has got to fall apart.
Well, I've written about that again, and I hope they do it quickly. I hope it's within 6 months. I hope for sure it's within 3 years, because I don't know whether we can last that long. They're going to do QE3. They were telling you that the other day. We predicted that over a year ago. What are the numbers going to be? Well, let's just look at inflation. With QE2 not appearing yet, we're only looking at QE1 in the inflation numbers. We get QE2 25 to 30% inflation. We get QE3 taking us up to 50% inflation. That's hyperinflation. That means the next stop is deflationary depression,